I don't think that a Rolls Royce has to be the money pit that everybody says. I mean, the Dodge Viper seems like a mass-produced American piece of garbage compared to this, and that's a nice handmade car for that matter. Some of this chrome work, if we look, like right here, gonna have to do a little metal work. We're still going on about that stupid Grey Poupon commercial in the 80s. That's the only reference anybody has, other than considering it aristocratic wealth in England. Well, fair enough, but this is a wonderful car. What's up, people? Today we're going to do an update on my 1996 Rolls Royce Silver Spur. No, that's not the pretty black one right here. That belongs to a client of Horse and Bull Fine Automobile Service. So we'll be looking at that soon. But boom, here's mine. I bought it for $8,000 recently in a gamble on Facebook Marketplace that so far I think is paying off. So I want to go over the details of what I've actually accomplished with it right now. As a note, it needs new tires, so I'm riding on a little nicer Michelins. I put a piece of electrical tape on the plastic hubcaps here because they have quarter turn fasteners. And in the box, I've got finally the proper tool from England that fits in here to make sure they're secure. So I put the piece of electrical tape on it in case I wasn't able to quite get it on. I didn't want to lose them. In any case, as you may have remembered, it got sideswiped on the fender right here from the shipping company. The gentleman didn't know when you start up a Rolls Royce, you have to let it build pressure. You know, the dashboard tells you that. Otherwise, you have no brakes, which is a wonderful system that works very well. But he did not allow the car to have the parameters it needed and went shooting out and swiped it. That being said, it's not the end of the world because I've got a little rust repair to do here. On these rolls, it has a rubber molding type thing put on that protects it from stone chips but causes that to rust. So I will be making some new steel pieces and hand forming that. Be using the shrinker stretcher, obviously some shears, and I don't think I'm going to end up using the little English wheel in it or not, but there's obviously rust here as well. But I'll be fixing that, and it's scheduled to go to paint here at the end of July. So it is my intention to have the car completely in order so that July trip for paint is the very last thing it'll have, and the car will be effectively done and very nice. Now, the other thing, there were a lot of car door dings in this side and a little bit of a crease. I had a great paintless dent repair guy take all those out, and that's helpful too. You got to run that cost-benefit analysis because I am going to have a little bit of paint work done. But if you can remove dents nicely by hand and you don't have to do paint work, I think that is preferable. Also, the doors had to be adjusted, so the driver's door, as a note, was sagging, which is a simple endeavor, which you take care of by removing the inner door panel. And then you can see in here some bolts that tension where the hinges go to the door. And how I did that was I used some wooden and plastic wedges here to hold the door at the level I wanted it to be. Then I went to the inside, snugged up those bolts that hold it together, and that pretty much took care of it. Kind of had to go like a millimeter high so that when the gravity holds it at the hinge, it ends up being where you want it to be. Beyond that, the right rear door was stuck shut. You could not open this door. The outer door handle did not function, and the inner door handle did not either. But, in fact, it did function. The child safety lock, which is right here, that's the child safety, renders that inoperable. And what had happened is someone had bumped that, and then the outer door handle latch had failed internally, so you could not open the door. But fortunately, I was able to carefully remove the inner panel with the door shut and without damaging anything, and that allowed me access. Now, truth be told, the latches in this Rolls Royce are not its best part. There are many pieces on this car, if not, well, the vast majority, that are finely crafted out of materials that will stand the test of time. And if they break or get loose or off, you can fix them. Yes, actually fix the part rather than just changing parts. However, the door latches have a lot of plastic in them and frankly are a stupid design. So I had to take it apart, put it back together, and do some mechanic surgery with stainless steel safety wire to hold things together better. Now I did that and put it together, but it still didn't work properly because the plane of the hinge, let's say, is not quite vertical. Let's say it's kind of going like this, and things have to pull up and down, and then also perpendicularly. Well, the up and down one, the thing that pulls it, which is this, when you push the door handle to open it, is a little bell crank. So I'm pushing the button, and that makes something go downward, and it pulls it. But if you imagine this as a graph, here's your hinge right here. So it has to pull downward over here, but the piece that's pulling downward is over here. So there's this wire that kind of went at a 45-degree angle and up, and it was terrible. It was not functioning well. So actually, I did some clever work where I put a bolt in the piece of the hinge that would be here that moved it all the way out to here rigidly, so that the wire then could pull directly down on that bolt in line this way, and it was rigidly attached via 2 nuts over here, and that worked really, really well. In fact, this door handle now works finer than the rest of them. So I do have a fix there, and that's why it's important to have a toolbox. So as a note, what do I think of the Rolls Royce? Well, I think it's a tremendously well-built car, and I'm excited to drive it. I hate to admit that in a sense, when I bought a cheap Rolls Royce, it was a little bit of a gag. It was funny to me because, well, Americans don't appreciate them. We're still going on about that stupid Grey Poupon commercial in the 80s. That's the only reference anybody has, other than considering it aristocratic wealth in England. Well, fair enough, but this is a wonderful car. And now that I'm a middle-aged guy with a little family, I wanted something with a long wheelbase to go out of town, have a nice time, enjoy it like we're on a yacht. But also, the car weighs over 5,000 pounds and has self-leveling rear suspension. You might know where I'm going with this. I am planning on putting a trailer hitch on it very cleverly. The way the frame comes back, I'll be able to bolt it and do it in a way that is not too ostentatious or Frankenstein. And the reason being is I think it'll be a lot of fun with my Lotus Chinook Formula B to tow it to vintage races with the Rolls Royce. So here's my Formula B. Basically representing what Formula One was in the mid-60s. This is from the late 1960s. Very lightweight car. Weighs less than 1,000 pounds, and on a little aluminum trailer, be no problem for the Rolls. And to be honest, I don't like driving trucks. I don't like it at all, unless it's a monster truck. And when are you going to do that? I would much rather go to the racetrack in a Rolls Royce, towing my car and just doing it like the old days, but in luxury. So I think that's good fun, and that's being creative, and that's what the car world should be about, right? In any case, some other things that are going on here. Today, I am changing the stereo. I didn't like the one that was in it. I've just got a Kenwood head unit here, no CD player, but the Bluetooth works great. Seems to be plenty powerful, and interface is nice and looks good. It's just a single DIN that'll go in here. I didn't like the one that was in it. Looked very cheap in 90s. Didn't really function well. Didn't have Bluetooth. And actually, I put the same one in my Murcielago just last night. The speakers in the Rolls Royce, it appears there are 8 of them. They're not very good speakers. The speakers in the Murcielago are a lot nicer. As you can see, here's kind of the mid-range ones. Basically a paper or fiber base. The foam is long since degraded. There was a plastic surround you'll see that I utilized. And then, of course, here's the smaller one, but it's kind of crap. So it just got some mid-range Polk audio that has the tweeter built in. And I utilized the plastic surround and modified it to where I could use this 5-inch speaker. And then with foam in between, I riveted the 5-inch speaker to that piece of plastic so it could screw down in the stock Rolls Royce position and still fit within the door panel and look very nice. So that was important to me. I want it to look stock, but I want it to sound pretty good. I don't intend to listen to music ridiculously loud. The car's very quiet, so I think the head unit alone will be plenty to power it and still sound reasonable with the volume levels I'm thinking. So there's that. Also, I got fortunate from eBay. I found a carpet set that matches this one perfectly. It's the indigo blue with the kind of parchment or cream edging. My floor mats are really trashed, and they put some, what do you call it? They use some of that like leather paints dye, and then whoever it was before it got it all over the place. It looks terrible. Also, my Persian rugs, I got those out. Those were in my Mercedes, and they were just sitting in my garage forever. So I just kind of threw them in. But I'm going to take those out because the red sort of clashes with the blue. But I have a clever idea. I will give you a hint. So if I'm going to tow my Formula B to vintage races with my Rolls Royce, I'm just going to camp out like I always did. But the thing about a racetrack is it's a lot like the desert. And when you're a racer, you're a nomad. You go, you're there for a while and camp out and you leave. So where in the world do you have a people that are best at being nomads in the desert and doing it with style and class and living life? That may give you a hint as to what I am thinking for my paddock space and camping area for vintage racing, but I will leave that to be a fun surprise. I'm pretty excited about it. In any case, the back seat's tremendous in this. Very large, very nice, big back seat. Plenty of room to put stuff when I'm going vintage racing, or my family when I want to go out of town and enjoy it. The headliner, if you notice, kind of turned this black, but it feels like there's some gunky or weird stuff above it. I kind of think maybe it got stained from whatever it is that's up in there. That's what it seems like to me from heat. So this headliner material, and for people that don't understand Rolls-Royce and why they are as expensive as they are, all the materials are exquisite. This is all Connolly leather. Even now, with the car being old and somewhat neglected, it still smells beautiful. You have some of the finest woodwork in this car with mirrors and accoutrements you'd expect of beautiful homes. And the headliner is no exception. This is a very fine wool. So these are natural fibers. And if you forgive me, this may sound a little silly, so make fun of me if you will. I've always enjoyed high-end vintage European cars. And as silly as it sounds with this one, you got fine leathers and fine wool, and it's older, you know? And I'm like, why does this car kind of smell and remind me of my grandparents? Okay, no, that's a bad joke. Like, God, it smells like your grandparents, Casey? Like, you're weird. I'm like, no, it smells like the stuff my grandparents had because they had quality things that, frankly, were older. And that's what the Rolls is. So, I don't know. It's just kind of one of those neat little connections. The other thing is vintage Ferraris, even on this Mondial or the 308, depending on it, the carpet is, in fact, a wool and with the old leather. And I know it's as silly as it sounds. I'm going to go in here. You guys, you don't get a whiff, but I'm going to have it here. Ah, yes. I have to admit that smelling a slightly musty Ferrari with old leather that's still supple and wool carpets and such, I don't know, I kind of like that. It smells like fun. You know, it's like if you ever enjoyed going fishing when you're a kid and you go to a pond and it smells like a freshwater pond with a little algae and stuff. It's like, ooh, pond smell. We're going to have a good day. Okay, in any case, but the roll's very nice. So we've got that going on. Also, the paintwork is not bad. It's got some little bit of acid etching from water spots. You can see more readily here in the hood. Yeah, you can see that. So I'm going to be buffing that out. Probably do a ceramic coating at the end. Got to buff the stainless steel and chrome here. Some of this chrome work, if we look, like right here, going to have to do a little metal work. You know, that's just kind of some light coach building type stuff to fix that up. So there's got to be some things that I can do there. But the cool thing about this Rolls Royce is, again, I reiterate, because all of the components here are super high quality and were built to span the test of time by people that wanted it to span the test of time of generations, where that matters. It's very fixable. It's not just about replacing parts. Like, you know, I mean, the Dodge Viper seems like a mass-produced American piece of garbage compared to this, and that's a nice handmade car for that matter. But I don't think that a Rolls Royce has to be the money pit that everybody says. I actually seem to think that these cars, because there's enough out there that are kind of salvage, you can still get parts reasonably. You might have to wait a little bit. I ordered some parts from Flying Spares in England that came very quickly. Also, I have to mention to you, some of you may remember, I took the tires to get changed at a local mechanic shop that I thought had done well for me in the past, and made a complete mockery of this. And they plugged it in. I said, plug it in and tell me what's up with the transmission, which we should talk about. And they said, oh, there's nothing wrong, no faults. I'm like, okay. And they told me there's a huge fuel leak, so they had to take it all apart and I couldn't work it. I'm like, don't, I'll take it home. Well, first of all, there is no fuel leak whatsoever. I've driven the car a number of times, so that was BS. Also, even with a $30 Bluetooth scanner, I was able to plug into the OBD2 port and just with my phone and an app there, pull up every single code. And in fact, there was a code relating to the transmission. So here's my OBD2 port. And here in the glove box, I don't know if you can see that, but right here is my OBD2 port. So it just plugs right in there. And turns out the transmission that's in this, which is a 4-speed General Motors, the 4L80E, if I'm not mistaken, the shift solenoid B was stuck open. So actually, for just a couple of $100, I ordered off the internet an entire electric rebuild type kit for the transmission. So I got a new gasket here. I've got all the solenoids. I've got the wiring harness that goes inside, everything. So I'm going to drop the pan. Perfect opportunity to kind of refresh the oil and just replace all that stuff for a couple $100. So I believe this thing will be shifting perfectly then. That nice General Motors transmission, you know, it's going to be reliable work. Motor seems to be happy. It runs well. Could stand probably a little zhuzhing up and cleaning up of like the idle air control. But in other words, it's doing well. And from that point, it's good. But a note, the Rolls Royce, the right side of the car, the lug nuts are normal right-hand thread. The left side of the car, the lug nuts are left-hand thread. They're kind of a bronze material. Well, I bring that up because even though on the left side there's an arrow pointing the direction to take it off, idiots that have questionable observation skills won't notice that. And they'll dugga on the left side of your rolls and completely destroy all your studs or your lug nuts. And they destroyed a number of my lug nuts. Of course, didn't tell me, just like with the ignition switch, imbeciles. So I ordered some new lug nuts from Flying Spares, which have in fact arrived. And I forget where the heck they are right now, but they're here somewhere, and I'm going to put them on. So in any case, that's what's going on here today, guys. But I'm pleased about it, and I will come back with you when I do the rust work. I think you'll find that fascinating how I fabricate that. But mostly it's just little things. It's just little things. The car runs, it looks good. The paint will make it exquisite. It's just fixing things like, for instance, the sun visor on the driver's side. Very nice. Very, very the most expensive sun visor I've ever seen. It's all leather. Very nice Connolly leather. Look at this. This is real wood. Beautiful wood. Burl looking for that matter. And the pivot here, this is all metal and chrome. And the inside of it, it pivots and then it has a detent and it clicks. Well, it had popped out here, so I took it all apart carefully, pulled the rod out, and I was able to re-press the rod in here with the detent into the swivel, which worked perfectly. So now it works perfectly again, even though it had literally fallen off. And that's the thing I think about Rolls that people don't get is, yeah, you could spend a lot of money if no one's taking care of the handmade thing. But if you care about the quality and craftsmanship and it means something to you, and you have a toolbox and you can actually fix something and you understand the materials, I think this is a fine car that'll last forever. So I'm very pleased with it. But again, this is mine. I'm looking forward to it just being a very presentable and pleasant driver. So I can enjoy driving it. Plain and simple. That's it. And have a little fun towing my Formula B to vintage races with, because, you know, if you're going to go racing and you're going to do it on your own dime and dollar and time, do it the way you want to do it. And I want to live well. So that's how I'm going to do it. In any case, in the next video coming up is this 1974 Rolls Royce, oh hell, what model was it? Silver Shadow? Why did my brain stop working? I forgot. It's a Shadow, right? Yeah, it's a Shadow. Duh, okay, sorry. My brain's stuck on like Ferrari terminology, which is all numbers that sometimes relate to displacement in cylinders and sometimes don't. In any case, this is a lovely car and there's some details I've been taking care of with it. So I hope you guys will come back for it. And of course for mine. And I know it's going to be fun when we put that trailer hitch on it and go with the Formula B. And I will also be coming up with the video, the first one with that series with the Formula B, because I got to get it ready. There's a race coming up, and another little giveaway tidbit that you may enjoy is if the B is very fast it will in fact be catching air on the track regularly, like the old Nürburgring Flugplatz. And I know it's possible because I've done it once testing with the Genius Garage Corvette. It's very dramatic. If you go fast enough, you sail through the air and miss your braking zone. Because, well, you don't miss your braking zone, you're braking, but it doesn't do anything because you're sailing through the air, which makes it a little spicy. So that's about it. But so far, really love the Rolls Royce Silver Spur from the 90s. It's everything I could want to be and more. And so far, so good. But you got to have a toolbox, and if you don't, you've got to have the right person. So look down in the description below. Of course, I'm opening up the service with Horse and Bull Fine Automobile Service, and you can hit me up. And if I've got time, I'd be happy to get you in. If you're a pleasant person that respects fine cars and the people who can actually service them, okay? If you want warranties and parts changes and all that stuff and flex in Miami, just go get yourself a new exotic car at the dealership. See you guys next time.